How many games will the Minnesota Vikings win in 2023? What's going on, Vikings fans? And this is your boy, Mail Jones here, back at with another NFL record prediction. This time we'll be doing an NFL record prediction for the Minnesota Vikings for a 2023 NFL season, giving my thoughts, my game analysis, see which games I think the Vikings will win and which games I think the Vikings will lose. So before I give you my record prediction for the Minnesota Vikings in 2023, don't forget to put the thumbs up to like the video, subscribe to my channel for more options, and comment down your opinion below to see how good do you think Minnesota's going to do. Do you think they will repeat as the NFC North champs? Do you think they're going to make the playoffs, or do you think they're going to miss out on the playoffs? Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. Now I understand that Minnesota, had made the playoffs last year, and I just kind of feel like, that Minnesota is probably going to take a little bit of a step back this year due to the fact that, they've lost several pieces to their defense. I mean, they lost Dalvin Cook. They lost Adam Thielen. I mean, and then they drafted a wide receiver to replace these guys, to replace Thielen and Jordan Addison. Now, the question is that can Minnesota repeat as the NFC North champs? That's the question, which I don't really know if they will be back in the playoffs once again. So let's break down the schedule. So week 1, they have to play at home against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, I believe Minnesota wins this game, though. I mean, the reason why Minnesota wins this game is because Minnesota's at home, and there's no Tom Brady in there. So I think that kind of gives Minnesota a chance to win this game. And also, I don't trust Baker Mayfield as a quarterback. I feel like Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield, so I think Minnesota has a better quarterback. And I think you guys got better coaching, and they're at home. And I just think you're just a more complete team. And also, I just kind of feel like it's kind of weird to say that the Bucs kind of have a little bit of a better defense than the Vikings, but I don't think your defense is as good as yours. So I think you guys can do a good job, I think you guys can probably do a good job, even though I think your defense is not as good, I think you guys can do a good job crowding the box. And offensively, I think Kirk Cousins should be able to put up a show here, and he should make enough plays down the field against the Bucs secondary. So yeah, I think this game could definitely be a little bit closer because I feel like Tampa Bay can give him a tough time, but I just have a feeling that Minnesota finds a way to pull it out with the victory. The next game, they have to play against the Eagles on Thursday night in a short week. I actually got them Eagles winning this game because I just think the Eagles are just a more complete team. They have a better quarterback. They got better coaching. They're at home. We know Philly's a tough place to play at. And I just don't think you guys match up well with the Eagles pretty good because the Eagles, have a really good defensive line and a good offensive line, and they can give you issues up front in their defensive line knowing that your O-line stinks. So I don't think you're going to be able to at least block their front. And then their secondary is pretty much talented. I think they can find a way to at least cover, the Vikings receivers. Because we know that game from last year where, Darius Slay really shut down Justin Jefferson. I think it can probably happen again, but which I would not be shocked. This is where Darius Slay had a big game, at least when he had 3 interceptions, which that was last year. So yeah, and then I feel like Jalen Hurts, he can do enough to make some big plays against your defense. And I don't think you're gonna have an answer for AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert because those guys can definitely be tough to cover. So yeah, I feel like this game can definitely be close, but I think I feel like Philly can definitely win. But here's the thing: if Philly gets up early, they definitely could blow the Vikings out. So yeah. And then next game, they have to play against the LA Chargers. This is another game that can go either way, but at the same time, I want to go with the Chargers here because I think the Chargers are the more talented team and have the better defense and the better quarterback. But I am going to take. I think it will be close, but I'm going to take the Vikings to win this game because I just think the Vikings, I just kind of feel like that, even though that your defense is not as good as the Chargers defense, I feel like you're going to crowd the box and all that in this game. Yeah, I think with Brian Flores, with his defensive scheme, he'll find a way to confuse Justin Herbert. And also, I think, and I just kind of feel like the Vikings offense is going to do a good job controlling the game, controlling the clock, and keeping Herbert on the sidelines. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much why I think Minnesota wins. But I think it will be close and it will be a shootout this time. But I think Minnesota finds a way to pull it off. Next game, week 4, they have to play versus Carolina Panthers. Now, this is another swing game that can go either way. And this is a game where I think Minnesota can definitely win. But I am going to go with the Panthers here because I just think the Panthers, are pretty much underrated. The Panthers, they got Bryce Young, which I understand they do. And they have a good coaching staff as well. I feel like Carolina is pretty much underrated. And I just kind of feel like, that Bryce Young, I feel like he can do enough. He can probably do enough against your defense. So I think he can do enough to throw the ball in the air and make some big plays against your secondary. So, yeah. And then especially, this is the Adam Thielen revenge game. So I think Alan Thielen can definitely have a good game here. And then their defense is pretty much young, and I think it's underrated. So I think their defense is probably better than your defense. So I think they'll find a way to at least control the line of scrimmage. And then their secondary is young and it's pretty good. Maybe they find a way to handle Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison in this game. But I think this game right here is going to be very close. But I think Carolina finds a way to pull out with the victory. All right, then next game, they have to play at home against the Chiefs. Obviously, this is another swing game. This is a game where you definitely could win because you're at home and you got weapons on offense to move the ball against the Chiefs defense, which is pretty young. But I could kind of feel like in Minnesota, the only way that Minnesota can win this game is that if they can find a way to control the game, if their offense can control the game, control time possession, and keep Mahomes on the sideline, that kind of allows them to win the game. But I got the Chiefs, but I think it will be super close. Minnesota can definitely pull off an upset, but I would not be shocked. But I am going to take the Chiefs to win this game here because I just think the Chiefs are just a more complete team and have a better coaching staff, better quarterback. And I feel like Mahomes, I just feel like Mahomes is going to be too much for your defense. And he can do enough to at least throw the ball through the air against your secondary. And I don't think you're going to have answers for Travis Kelce and those receivers because those guys are going to be too much for your secondary to handle. So, yeah. So they should be able to move the ball against you guys. So, yeah. So I feel like their offense is going to can find a way to control the game, control the clock, to keep Kirk Cousins off the field. So, yeah. So I think the Chiefs find a way to win this game here. Next game, you got to play the Bears. Obviously, I think they're going to split with the Bears. Obviously, I think they split the Bears, so I'm going to say they lose this game here because the game's in Chicago. And, Chicago's like a tough place to play at. So, yeah, and I feel like, Fields can probably do enough against your defense and make some big plays. Even though he's a good athlete and can't throw, I feel like he can. And the Bears got some really good weapons on offense like DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Claypool, Cole Kmet. Yeah. So I think the Bears can find a way to win that game. All right, the next game, week 7, they have to play at home against the San Francisco 49ers. obviously, I got them losing that game here. Even though Minnesota's at home, I got San Fran winning that game. San Francisco's an overall better team, better quarterback, better coaching. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be, so Niners should win that game. So, yeah. So, I think Niners should win that game easily. But I think it will be close, though. Now, that's a game where Minnesota can definitely win because you're at home. But I just kind of feel like San Francisco is just an overall better team. And they're the best team. And they have the best defense as well. I feel like their defense is just better than yours. So, yeah. And I don't think you match up well with the Niners. So, yeah, I feel like Kittle, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, those guys are going to be tough to cover. Especially CMC will be. So, that's at least a Niner win. Then against the Packers, I think they're going to split with them. So I'm going to give them a loss here because, Green Bay just particularly owns them. So, yeah. And also, they're at home and have better coaching. And they just have a better defense than your defense. Because I like how the way Green Bay played my Minnesota last year. They really gave Kirk Cousins a tough time. And I think they can find a way to do that in this game. And I think their defense will find a way to shut down their entire offense. And I just kind of feel like their offense, with the weapons they have, they're probably going to give your defense issues. So, yeah, that's pretty much why I think Green Bay wins the game at home. So, they're 2-6 right now, not looking pretty good. Week 9, they got to play Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is a game that can go either way. Now, some people are probably going to pick the Falcons to win because the Falcons kind of have a better defense than your defense because Atlanta did improve their defense enough to give the Vikings offense issues. But I feel like that the quarterback position for Atlanta kind of concerns me a little bit. So I am going to take the Vikings to win this game because I feel like they're going to be extra motivated coming off 5 straight losses. So, yeah, I feel like Minnesota can definitely win this game. But I just kind of feel like what Brian Flores can do, he can find a way to confuse a young quarterback like that. And then I just kind of feel like that, even though Minnesota's defense is not good, I feel like that, your defense can find a way. I feel like their defense is going to crowd the box. So, yeah. I think this game is going to be super close, and I will be competitive, but I think Minnesota finds a way to pull it off. Yeah. Okay, so next game they have to play against New Orleans Saints. Obviously, I think they beat the Saints. Now I understand last year you guys beat them by a field goal in London. But not. But I just kind of feel like Minnesota's going to win this game because they're at home. And, I just kind of feel like, I think the Saints got a better defense than your defense. But I just kind of feel like Minnesota has better coaching in this game. And I feel like they have a better quarterback in this game as well. And they're at home. And I feel like Minnesota can probably do enough to at least, move the ball. Because I think the Saints' defense is a little bit overrated. And I think their offensive line's a little bit overrated too. But I don't think you guys have much of a pass rush. But I think your defense is going to crowd the box in this game. So I think just yeah. So yeah, that's why I think Minnesota will win. But I think it will be close. But that's pretty much all right. Next game, Week 11, they have to play against the Denver Broncos. Now this is another swing game. A game can go either way. Because I think it can go either way. Now, I want to take Minnesota, though, but I don't know. It's kind of tough. Because I kind of remember, I think when I looked at my Broncos, when I did my Denver Broncos video, I had Denver to win. But I don't know. Maybe I can change my mind. But I am going to go. I feel like it's going to be close, but I'm probably going to take Denver to win this game. I feel like Mile High is kind of like a tricky place to play at. And, I understand that Russ is inconsistent, but I just kind of feel like that Russell Wilson can probably do enough to throw the ball through the air against your secondary, and he's going to make some magic happen. And also, it's weird to say that Denver has a better coach than Minnesota, and they have a better defense than Minnesota, even though I think their defense is a little bit overrated. So maybe there's a chance that maybe you could move the ball against them. But I feel like Denver's defense can match up well with the Vikings because I feel like their pass rush did improve a little bit to stop their running game because I don't think you guys have a running game. I feel like Denver is going to be better running the football in this game. Especially, I don't think your defense against secondary is going to have answers for the receiving core of Denver. And I don't think your passing game. And I just don't really think that and I just think their secondary can find a way to at least like slow down the Vikings receivers and all that. So yeah. But I know I wouldn't rule out Minnesota winning, but I feel like the game could be close and competitive, but I think Denver is going to find a way to pull it out with a victory. But I think it's going to be more like a lower scoring game. The next game they have to play against the Bears on Monday Night Football. Obviously, they split with the Bears, so I give them a win right here at home because typically I just kind of feel like you own the Bears. And, the Bears, cannot match up well with the Vikings pretty good. You've given the Bears issues at multiple times, but I just kind of feel like that Bears are going to beat you guys one season, and then you beat them another one. Because I understand that the Bears have beaten them both times, but I think Minnesota finds a way to win. And I just don't think the Bears – so, yeah, and I feel like Kirk Cousins is going to make some magic happen there. So that's pretty much why. So as I look at their record right now – I like to say maybe they 5-7. I don't know. Yep, they're 5-7 now, going toward the bye week. And after the bye week, they got to play against the Las Vegas Raiders in Las Vegas. Now, this is another game that can go either way. It could be a swing game, which this is a game where I think that Minnesota can win because the Raiders. Now, this could definitely be the trap game because both of these offenses are very similar. They're kind of similar and they're pretty good, but their defenses are a little sketchy. But I like to say the Raiders have a better pass rush than Minnesota. But I feel like it's going to be close and it could be a shootout though. But if this game was in Minnesota, I might go with the Vikings. But given that the game's in Las Vegas, I'm going to take the Raiders here. I'm going to take the Raiders here to win this game because I just kind of really feel like that the Raiders, I feel like Jimmy G can probably do enough to make some plays and throw the ball through the air against your secondary. And I just kind of feel like Devontae Adams and Hunter Renfrow, those guys are going to be tough to cover. And I just kind of feel like that the Raiders are better at running the football because I feel like they have the better O-line and all that. And I just kind of feel like Josh Jacobs is just going to run through your defense. So, yeah. And also the Raiders pass rush is very solid. So I think they can definitely give the Vikings offensive line some issues because I don't think Minnesota has a running game. So yeah. So I felt the Raiders can do a good job, controlling the game on offense and all that. Keeping Kirk on the sidelines and all that. So yeah. But I know Brian Flores has done a good job against Josh McDaniels, but I think Josh McDaniels gonna have a good game plan against Brian Flores' defense. But I wouldn't rule out Minnesota winning, but it will be close. But I think the Raiders find a way to win that game. The next game, they have to play the Bengals on a Saturday. Obviously, I got the Bengals here winning this game because the Bengals, they're looking to be one of the best teams in the league, and they have a better quarterback, better coaching staff. They're at home. They're the more complete team in this game. So, yeah, for that reason, that's just pretty much why. Yeah, that's pretty much why I think Cincinnati wins. And also, I don't think you guys are going to have an answer for Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. I mean, those guys are going to be tough to cover, and you guys don't really have the corners to cover them. And then I think Cincinnati, has a better defensive line. They have the better D line in this game. I think they have a better defense. So I think their defense can definitely give your offense and Kirk Cousins some issues. So I think their D line can get after Kirk Cousins. And they also have a better secondary than these guys. I think they'll find a way to handle business to slow down Justin Jefferson. So yeah. I think it's gonna be closer like last time, but I think Cincinnati finds a way to pull it out. The next game, week 16, they gotta play against the Lions. So it's probably back to back. Week 16, week 18 is back to back where they play the Lions. So I think they're gonna split the Lions. So I'm gonna say they win the first game against Detroit because they're at home. And then they play them again in week 18. So I think they're gonna lose. So I think they're going to lose the second game in Detroit. Because I think the Lions are going to be a good team this year, and they're favored to win the NFC North and all that. I feel like Detroit might have much to play for because I think they're going to be fighting to go to the playoffs and fighting to win that division. And I think Minnesota, I don't think they're going to be good this year. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. So yeah, and plus, I just feel like the Lions are just a more complete team. So yeah, and also they just got the better defense. I think their defense is better than yours. I think they'll find a way to at least give the Vikings offensive line Kirk Cousins some issues. And then their secondary is pretty much underrated where they can stop the pass, slow down Justin Jefferson. So yeah, that's pretty much why. And then last game, and then actually week 17, they got to play against the Packers at home. So I got them split with the Packers. So I give them a win here because Minnesota's at home. They have a better quarterback. But I like to say, it's weird to say that. I think Green Bay is just a better team and have the better defense than you guys. So yeah, that's pretty much why. And they have better coaching. So yeah. So overall, I have the Vikings going 7-10. So I know that's kind of disappointing for a lot of Vikings fans. Now I know 3-3 in division, 6-6 in conference, 6-2 at home, 1-8 away. I mean, pretty similar. So yeah, but I just kind of feel like it's time for Minnesota to take a step back this year. I just don't think they're gonna make the playoffs this year. I feel like that Minnesota has regrets. But when you look at the schedule, it's pretty tough because they have to play all the best teams. Like they have to play like the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Niners. They got to play the Chargers, the Panthers, the Bears twice, the Packers twice. They play the Falcons, the Saints, the Broncos, the Raiders, and the Bengals. Then the Packers twice, and the Lions, and that's about it. Now the only best teams that they don't play is the Cowboys and the Bills, and 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 the Ravens too. So that's about it. So this is a tough schedule. So I just kind of feel like Minnesota, it's time for them to take a step back. Before I believe they can take a step forward, but I hope I hope Minnesota proves me wrong, but that's how I just feel about this. Now, what I like about their team is that I think their coaching is solid. I like the addition of adding Brian Flores to at least to add to the defense, add to the coaching staff, which is nice. But I have questions. But I still have questions about the offense is pretty good. I like the addition of Jordan Addison, but I feel like the loss of Dalvin Cook may hurt them. Now the offensive line could be the question. It's still okay, but not great. Defensively, I kind of like the pieces, but I just don't know if they did enough defensively to be an elite team. But I just still have questions about the defense. Like, I don't know how good it's gonna be. Can it be where it was last year? So yeah. So I just kind of feel like Minnesota just now. I just kind of have a feeling that I had them in. I had them in third in the division. Like, I just don't know why. I just have the Vikings in third in the division because I just don't really think their defense is as good. I just don't think their defense is as good as the Packers and the Lions. I think the Lions and Packers have a better defense. They got better coaching. I mean, that's pretty much why. Now, I just kind of feel like Minnesota. Now, I can see them being as good as 9-8. Maybe if I get them at least 2 more wins, maybe that gets them in. But I think due to a tough schedule, I think Minnesota's probably going to land somewhere from probably 6 to 8 wins this year. But I think their floor can be 9-8, 10-7 if everything goes right, and then Minnesota, stays the same as last year. But I feel like 5-12 can definitely be their floor if Kirk Cousins is not playing the right way, where we can see the downside of it, and then the offensive line is not good, and the defense is not good, and the coaching is terrible. That's how I can see it. So that's how I feel about the Vikings. So I feel like 7-10 is my record for the Vikings. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, how you feel. It's Emmanuel Jones from Big Fan. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys later in the next one. Peace.